get off my lawn.
What's this? A review of Grimm's Fairy Tale Classics outside of October? Yes, viewers, while it may not be as prominent as reviews I've done on VisiPop content, the DuckTales reboot, or anything related to Jim Henson, I have yet to drop this series, despite the last video I did getting absolutely no engagement. You may have noticed that this is going to be a special edition, since I'm reviewing 2 episodes, the reason being they have rather similar themes. First episode we're going to look at is Spirit in a Bottle, which focuses on a woodcutter and his son Frederick.
I know you want to go to school, son, but schools are expensive.
But Father, after I graduate, I'll be making lots of money and you won't have to work anymore.
This has nothing to do with the story, but my lord was that audio quality. Though really, who am I to judge? The audio quality of my Swan Princess review is absolutely awful. Yeah, this is an old show, but none of the other episodes I've watched have had this sort of reverb. To be fair, I did get this off YouTube, and it could just be the person who uploaded it, trying to avoid copyright. And this is really the only part of the episode where this happens. One day while out with his father, Frederick explores the forest. He hears a voice calling out to him from a giant oak tree, and discovers a small creature trapped in a bottle. The creature offers to reward Frederick if he lets it out, but I don't know. Looking the way it does, I wouldn't trust it. Besides, there are a few folktales out there of spirits betraying the human who did them a good turn, due to being generally malicious or immoral. You couldn't even trust fairies or elves in old stories, since they were prone to kidnapping humans for the fun of it. Or because they had a human fetish. I'm not even joking. They folks' attraction to mortals comes off as fetishistic.
Oh, how did you get so big?
I thank you for letting me out. Your kindness shall not go unrewarded. I am in your debt and deeply grateful.
Oh, wonderful. What's to be my reward?
You've been so kind, I'll swallow you whole instead of eating you in little tiny bites.
Oh, no!
Yum. Oh, yes.
Oh wow, who could have seen that coming? Frederick tricks the spirit back into the bottle, and only agrees to release it again if it promises never to harm another human. The spirit also presents Frederick with a cloth that it says can turn any metal into silver, and when Frederick rubs it on the head of his own axe, he sees that the spirit was telling the truth. Frederick sells his axe and shows his father the things he was able to buy with the money, and how the cloth works. Being the practical, self-made man he is, Frederick's father says, he insists on making money the way he always has. Through hard work. Also notice that all the stuff Frederick turned to silver is back to normal in this wide shot. Frederick's father insists that the cloth is just a shortcut to money and orders him to get rid of it, which Frederick refuses to do. We're then shown a montage of Frederick throwing his money around while his father is hard at work in the forest and takes to bed after getting caught out in the rain. Having caught what I can only assume to be a pneumonia, the woodcutter pleads with his son's better nature to get rid of the cloth before passing, and on grief-stricken Frederick throws it into the fire. Only to regret immediately after and go out running to look for a new cloth.
Oh, this is the place!
And the last we ever see of Frederick is him being trapped in the very same bottle the spirit was in. The end! Bit of trivia here, there's an alternate ending to this story. The son gets everything he wanted to do to the cloth, including his father's approval of it. So yeah, I can see why they went with this version. The other episode I'm reviewing today, Godfather Death, is one that I was convinced wasn't dubbed for the longest time, because I couldn't find said dub until maybe 2023. Yeah, I've been holding on to this episode for that long. The episode starts with a poor farmer having his latest child, and wondering how he'll ever be able to support him.
Now, good farmer, stop your worrying, for I am here to help you just as I've always helped you.
I beg pardon, but have we met before?
I'm the spirit of justice.
The spirit of what? No, you're nothing but a big fat fake. If you were justice, people wouldn't be suffering all the time. You can't trick me into believing you. You've never once helped me.
Those without faith cannot be helped, I'm afraid.
In the original fairy tale, the farmer encounters God, who offers to become the godfather of his late son, but the farmer rejects him, saying that God allows good people to suffer. The next encounter is with the devil, who offers to make his son rich, but considering this is, the devil, His offer is also rejected. So it actually omits the devil part, and I can't help but wonder why, considering that the show has never been shy about the devil being a thing. And again, the episode Bearskin has the main protagonist accepting a deal with a demon. Female and James are just unavailable. Farmer next meets Death and says that he'd be the perfect godfather because he treats everyone equally.
Hear this, farmer. I only speak the truth, but in order to save your son, you must be willing to go to nothingness. It's a fair trade, don't you agree?
Why, it's more than fair, sir. It's nothing short of a miracle.
Sir, this man just said that in order for him to be a good godfather, you basically have to die first. And he does! However, long later, we see that the child has become an orphan due to the rest of his family having died long ago of starvation. These fairy tales are called grim for a reason, you know. Death finally approaches the boy and says that he'll be his godfather now and help him become a renowned doctor, even giving him a way to disguise himself since apparently everyone knows him as an orphan farmer. Death has just one little condition. Boy has to obey the way Death collects souls. Whenever Death is at the foot of the bed, the young doctor, who I'm just going to call Johann going forward, has to let Death claim the patient and vice versa. Johann doesn't like these terms, but goes along with them. Lo and behold, Johann does indeed become a renowned doctor, due to being able to save patients with the herbs Death gave him, but Death is very strict to the rules of their agreement. While Johann has become rich and famous, it comes at the cost of what we can only assume are good men being ripped away from their families. While he's forced to save a debt collector, even his own servants speak ill of. The original story is published in 1812, and yet the social commentary feels very relevant today. Johann's guilt over being unable to save those he deems worthy eats away at him. He begins to resent his success if it comes at the cost of others' lives. Death will let him out of their agreement, saying he has a job to do. He's right. But he's also taking unpleasant enjoyment at the emotional suffering of his godson. When Johann is called on to treat the king, he's absolutely terrified to see Death waiting for him to give the bad news. Johann turns the bed around, however, so Death is at the head, and Death has to relinquish his soul. Death is, of course, perturbed by this.
So much for playing this stupid game your way. Stop it! Somebody help me, please!
Nobody's going to help you. They can't even see you or hear you. Now that it would be in your absolute best interest to pay attention this time. Understand me, because I assure you the next time will not be this nice.
I didn't wear my pants, you did! For a while, Johann does things Death's way, but then the king begs him to save his daughter. Even though he's terrified, Johann defies Death again, giving the king and his servants the herbs to make the princess's medicine, and Death spirits Johann away to the afterlife, where he shows them that everyone's life is measured by a candle. Death assures Johann that because the medicine is already in the princess's system, that her life will be spared, but as that for every life he's cheated out of, he has to take the life of someone else.
So stop worrying. Stop all your worrying.
Your Majesty!
What kind of game is this? How could you do this to me?
Now, in the original fairy tale, Death does spirit the doctor away and tells him the whole candle shtick. But the doctor sees that his own candle is about to go out and pleads with his godfather to spare him. And Death says he can't, allowing his godson to die. Here, however, Death intentionally ends his godson's life out of malicious intent to punish him. You can tell I really don't like Death here. Michael Forrest is a very talented voice actor. This adaptation makes Death into an antagonist. Death is meant to be a neutral part of nature. Johann has the last laugh, however, by eating himself into the abyss, escaping his godfather, and the episode ends. I wanted to make this review a double feature, because I felt Frederick and Johann were two sides of the same coin, both of them even being voiced by Ron Rollick in the dub. Frederick used a magical item to obtain nevertheless money, and was punished for his dependence on it, while Johann was aided by a supernatural entity to obtain wealth and notoriety. They hate the fact that it came at the cost of others' lives. Both of them also start their stories wanting to become doctors. Only Johann really achieves that goal and genuinely wants to help people, but Frederick seems to abandon that goal once he has the cloth and has no need to work hard for money. Now, this is just my interpretation. When I looked up the moral to the spirit in the bottle, it was that a sharp mind cannot wed brute force, which only really applies to tricking the spirit back into the bottle. And the moral of Godfather Death is that that death is inevitable and uncompromising, but the anime adaptation of these stories seems to have gone for something else entirely. Regardless of what the morals were meant to be, I'm glad I got to cover these episodes, since I'd been wanting to talk about them for some time. This is Nighthead Eyes saying thanks for watching and please share your thoughts with me.